Every time you fill up your car, every time you see oil prices spike on the news, every time a crisis erupts in the Middle East, you're witnessing the power of the most successful financial conspiracy in modern history. But this isn't some secret cabal or shadowy organization. It's an open agreement between the United States and Saudi Arabia that has quietly enslaved the global economy for over 50 years. It's called the Petrodollar system, and it forces every country on earth to hold American dollars if they want to buy oil. Since every modern economy runs on oil, every country has to play the game, whether they like it or not. It's an invisible chain that binds the entire world to America's monetary policy. And here's the brilliant part. It doesn't feel like control. Countries think they're making free market decisions when they save up dollars to buy energy. But in reality, they're trapped in a system that automatically finances the American government, subsidizes American consumers, and punishes any nation that dares to try and break free. But here's what nobody tells you. This system wasn't born from market forces. It was engineered through secret negotiations back in the 1970s when America was facing its biggest financial crisis since the Great Depression. To understand how the petrodollar enslaved the world, we have to go back to August 15th, 1971, the day President Nixon killed the gold standard. This wasn't just some boring policy change. It was America admitting to the world that it was broke. For nearly 3 decades after World War II, the US dollar was backed by gold. Any country could exchange their dollars for actual physical gold at a rate of $35 per ounce. But by 1971, America had spent way more dollars than it had gold to back them up. The Vietnam War and massive government spending had drained the treasury. So Nixon decided to break the promise entirely. This Nixon shock ended the dollar's link to gold forever. Suddenly, the world's main reserve currency was backed by nothing but America's promise to pay, a promise America had just proven it wouldn't keep when things got tough. Without gold, why should anyone accept dollars for their oil or their goods? For the first time since World War II, America's financial dominance was truly threatened. The solution came from a series of secret meetings in 1973 and 1974 between American officials and the Saudi royal family. The deal they struck was simple but powerful. Saudi Arabia would price all of its oil exclusively in US dollars. In exchange, America would provide military protection and guaranteed support for the Saudi monarchy. Since Saudi Arabia was the world's biggest oil exporter, this meant every country now needed dollars to buy the energy that fueled their economies. This created a massive, automatic, global demand for American currency, even though it was no longer backed by gold. But the second part of the deal was even more ingenious. Saudi Arabia agreed to recycle its oil profits by purchasing US Treasury bonds. So when countries bought oil from Saudi Arabia, those dollars went right back to the US government as loans. America could essentially print dollars to buy oil, and the oil producers would then lend those very same dollars back to America, with interest. It was a perfect loop. Through a mix of diplomacy and pressure, America convinced all the other major oil exporters to adopt the same arrangement. By the late 1970s, almost all global oil trade was priced in dollars. This created what we now call the petrodollar recycling system. Think about it. When Japan needed oil from Kuwait, it first had to get US dollars. When Germany wanted crude from Nigeria, it needed US dollars. Every major economy became a forced participant in the dollar system. And oil isn't just energy. It's the lifeblood of modern civilization. Plastics, fertilizers, pharmaceuticals, transportation, it all depends on petroleum. By controlling the currency of the oil trade, America had effectively gained control over the monetary flows of the entire global economy. Countries had to build up huge reserves of dollars just to keep their industries running. This meant they had to export real goods to America in exchange for the dollars they needed to buy oil. The entire global economy rewired itself to serve American consumption. The petrodollar system basically functions as a hidden tax on the rest of the world. Every time oil prices go up, countries have to scramble for more dollars. This creates automatic demand for American currency and allows the US to borrow money at artificially low interest rates. Today, foreign governments hold over $7 trillion in US Treasury securities, much of it accumulated through this petrodollar recycling. This allows America to finance its massive government spending with money borrowed from the rest of the world. American consumers benefit by paying for imported goods with currency their own country creates out of thin air. When America runs a trade deficit, it's basically getting real goods and services in exchange for digital numbers in a computer system. Meanwhile, other countries have to produce and export actual things to earn the dollars they need. So what happens when countries try to escape this system? Well, history gives us some chilling examples. In the late 90s, Saddam Hussein of Iraq started demanding euros instead of dollars for his country's oil. This was a direct threat to the foundation of American financial power. Hussein's experiment with the euro ended with the 2003 invasion of Iraq. And one of the very first things the new Iraqi government did was switch its oil sales back to dollars. A few years later, Libya's Muammar Gaddafi proposed creating a gold-backed African currency to be used for oil trade. His government was overthrown in 2011 after a NATO-led intervention. More recently, Russia and Iran have tried to create alternative payment systems, and both have faced crippling sanctions designed to cut them off from the global dollar network. The message is crystal clear. Challenge the petrodollar and you will face the consequences. This system gives America an unprecedented ability to project power through financial weapons. Since global commerce runs on dollars, America can cripple any country's economy by restricting its access to the dollar system. Swift sanctions can cut a nation off from international banking. Asset freezes can seize a country's foreign reserves held in American institutions. These financial weapons are often more effective and much cheaper than military force. And this power extends to private companies too. American sanctions don't just stop American companies from doing business with a target. They prohibit any company in the world that uses the dollar system from doing so. Since that covers most of global commerce, it effectively globalizes American foreign policy. But despite its incredible strength, the petrodollar system is now facing its biggest challenges yet. China, the world's largest oil importer, has launched its own oil contracts priced in its currency, the yuan. Russia now accepts yuan, rubles, and even gold for its oil exports. Iran is bartering oil for goods to bypass the dollar system entirely. For now, these arrangements are small, but they are creating the infrastructure for a world where energy can be traded without dollars. Then there are digital currencies. Central bank digital currencies could allow countries to trade directly with each other, completely bypassing the dollar-based banking system. At the same time, the world's relationship with oil itself is changing. The rise of renewable energy and electric vehicles is slowly reducing oil's central role, which raises questions about the long-term dominance of any oil-based monetary system. Alternatives are being built. China's Belt and Road Initiative is creating a vast network of trade relationships priced in yuan. Russia is developing its own payment systems. Even America, its European allies, are building new mechanisms to trade with sanctioned countries like Iran without using the dollar. But replacing the petrodollar requires more than just alternative payment methods. It requires alternative security guarantees. America's military might is still crucial for protecting global trade routes. Any country thinking about ditching the dollar has to weigh the economic benefits against the potential security risks. The true genius of the petrodollar system is that it makes global financial control look voluntary. Countries choose to hold dollars, they choose to use American financial institutions. But these choices are made within a system that was specifically designed to make any other option prohibitively expensive. It's controlled through infrastructure, not direct coercion, but all systems built on privilege eventually face a reckoning. The petrodollar system has survived for 50 years because America had the military power to enforce it and the financial infrastructure to make it convenient. Both of those advantages are now eroding. The question isn't whether the petrodollar system will end, it's how quickly the alternatives will develop, and whether the transition will be a gradual shift or a catastrophic collapse. This system has brought America incredible wealth, but it has also created dangerous dependencies. The US economy has become structured around consuming cheap imports paid for with printed currency. When the system finally ends, America will face a painful adjustment. Those massive trade deficits will become unaffordable. Government borrowing will become expensive. The American standard of living will be challenged. The great irony is that the very system that made America so powerful has also made it incredibly vulnerable. By creating a global dependence on the dollar, America has also created a global incentive to escape that dependence. The petrodollar system is the most successful financial engineering project in history. It allowed one country to finance half a century of consumption by convincing the world that its currency, backed by nothing but promises, is the only acceptable payment for humanity's most essential resource. But the system's success contains the seeds of its own destruction. By showing the world that monetary dominance can be engineered, it has taught other nations how to build their own competing systems. The age of the petrodollar empire is ending. What comes next will determine whether its collapse enriches or impoverishes the world it once controlled. Thanks for watching. If you found this interesting, don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the systems that shape our world.